Hi everyone. My name is Jerry Wise, and I want to talk to you about why narcissistic parents are incapable of accepting you. I want to talk about the ways that they demonstrate this incapability. First of all, they have a need for control. If they have a need for control, then they cannot accept you because they have an inability to be vulnerable, and so they need to be in control. And if we really look at acceptance, we can see that acceptance equals shared influence. In other words, if I accept you, then I assume you have influence over yourself, I have influence over me. If I'm controlling you, then I can't accept you because I can't share you having influence over you. Only I can have influence over you as a narcissistic parent. And so we will feel unaccepted because narcissistic parents must be in control. It is important that we also cannot be secure in our own sense of self-esteem or self-confidence because narcissistic parents are insecure and have low self-confidence. They have a fragile self-esteem. They have deep-seated insecurities. Now, I understand there's some research that talks about how narcissistic parents are just kind of full of themselves and don't really experience low self-esteem. They have too much self-esteem. Well, I think the evidence is still out on how we understand that. But the main point is they certainly are triggered by shaming. They are triggered by things that we would call insecurities. They cannot accept other strengths and individuality. So when we were growing up, and even as adults with narcissistic parents, they can't accept us and our strengths. They also may feel jealous and need to shift the focus to them. And so when you have all of those dynamics working, there's no way they can accept you because you cannot accept someone if you're struggling with those issues. Narcissistic parents have a lack of empathy. That also interferes with their ability to accept you. Do you know that acceptance involves empathy and connection? The narcissistic parent can do neither. They can neither connect with you in a healthy way, nor be empathetic towards you and imagine or feel what you must feel. The way narcissists learn empathy is through mirroring. They don't have the empathy gene if they're truly a narcissistic personality disorder. They don't have that narcissistic gene or empathetic gene, let's say, but they can mimic it. And if it looks good to others, they'll try to do that or demonstrate that. So sometimes they will kind of fake empathize. And I've been watching some TV shows that have some narcissistic parents in them. And of course, they play on that for a joke in the TV shows, how non-empathetic they are. They just can't empathize. Two shows I think of as Absolutely Fabulous and Veep. VEEP, the Vice Presidential Comedy Central series. Hilarious because she's a narcissistic mother and she just doesn't have that empathy and it doesn't come through. And she plays that very well. Another is grandiosity and superiority. Narcissists often hold an inflated sense of self-importance. Well, if I'm grandiose and I'm superior, then no one can be equal. So how am I going to accept anyone? Because acceptance has a certain level of we are kind of both humans. I may disagree with you. I may even think you're being immature. I may even think you're wrong. But there's not a sense in which I feel superior to you or in a grandiose way. There may be things I know that you don't know. There may be things you know that I don't know. But it doesn't come down to non-acceptance. I can see we are different, but there's an acceptance between me and you. The narcissistic parent cannot do that. They must be superior and have this grandiose superiority. No one can be equal. with the narcissist. You cannot be equal. And I think so many times adult children of narcissists will run after their narcissistic parent and try to be equal with them. Well, mom, dad, let's just see each other as equal. And they may do lip service to that, but they cannot do that. You cannot be equal with them. They may pretend to be in public, they may pretend in some other ways, but they cannot do that. A true narcissist can't do that. And so for us to try to get them to accept us as equals is probably a fool's errand. We are not going to be equal with them in their eyes, whether they're 80 years old, whether they're 40 years old, in terms of our parents. The manipulative nature of the narcissist also is about the difficulty in accepting you. We are objects, we are tools to the narcissist. And so we will be seen as pawns in this chess game. And so we can never be accepted to be equal to the player of the game. We're just the pawn of the game. And so we can never be equal, so there can never be true acceptance. Then a pattern of criticism, which also is normal for narcissistic parents. A narcissistic parent must pursue or ignore. Criticism is pursuit. Ignoring or neglect is avoidance. And whenever we pursue someone, many times we're not accepting them. So if we're going after and trying to pursue somebody, we're not accepting where they are, what they want, giving them free rein and free power to decide or not. Even in relationships, if you're pursuing them, you're not meeting them right where you're at. You're pursuing them to get them to another place because you don't want to accept they might be mediocre about you, they might not like you, or they may like you, but they're shy or uncomfortable with that. So we need to be careful about our pursuits and pursuing because it doesn't always reflect and communicate acceptance. And if you want to learn more, and if you'll hold on and watch the rest of the video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can get out of these dilemmas that we've learned from narcissistic parents. Down below I have mentioned a program if you want to learn more about how to make these changes for ourselves in our recovery and growing up beyond the narcissistic family and beyond the narcissistic parent. There's a program you can join. You can also purchase that with a package of 12 monthly group sessions with me live that are group sessions. And I think you will find there'll be quite a bit of transformation happen for you. So, what can I do if I haven't been accepted by the narcissistic parent? If the parent is incapable of accepting me, then I want to look at how have I learned those things and how do I do them for myself? I want to look at how does Jerry treat Jerry in a non-accepting way? Because that's the way to heal from that old trauma and old abuse. Because it's no longer them. Now, they still may do it, and you may need to deal with your own boundaries with regard to narcissistic parents. But I'm more concerned about what's left over in us. And I work on try to help people get their families out of them. Also, we want to ask the question, how might I do non-acceptance with other relationships and other people? Where do I find me being non-accepting, judgmental, critical? And again, if we have been given that, then that's often what's going to flow out of us as adults. Remember your narcissistic parent's limitation to be able to accept you. But that doesn't have to become your limitation to accepting yourself. And I think a lot of people, many who are adult children of narcissists, don't accept that their parent cannot accept them. And they keep pursuing that dream and that fantasy. I would suggest we give up that dream and fantasy and begin to apply it to ourselves to begin to accept ourselves. In spite of whatever our parents have said, and done, because often those are systems thoughts, systems feelings, systems beliefs that we've internalized, and we can reprogram those. Another question you might ask, what would you be thinking, feeling, or doing, or all of those, if you let go of their non-acceptance and began to accept yourself? If I waved a magic wand and you totally could accept yourself now, what would that look like? What would be the upsides? What would be the downsides? Be sure to look at the downsides, because often we will hold on to trying to get acceptance from others or from a narcissistic parent because we fear what would happen if we let go of that. Because also, if you let go of that, you let go of the pursuit. And sadly or uncomfortably, that may be much, if the only part of the relationship you have with them is to hope one day they will change. And so it can be very difficult to give that up, because then I'm kind of left with, there's no more apron strings. There's no more umbilical cord. There's no more connectedness with them. Yike, that doesn't feel good. I think I'd rather keep trying to pursue them, even though it won't work. So what are the upsides and the downsides of that? I want to thank you for joining. Please subscribe. Please like, and please comment on this video. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining me, and be wise.